Hey Ron, great to be back on this new market update, and that's going to be, unless something changes, that's going to be the only update of the weekend. Today we're standing at 100, 200 something, well, that's loading 208. So no change. One thing I'm going to change is I think, I have this address, which today has like 160. I'll um, I'll either add money there or I'll um I'll run it up like I bring it up to 200, and maybe what I'm gonna do is to tie this challenge directly to this address. So because I used some of that address to hedge, like have like 200K in hype spot that I wanted to hedge, and I did it there, which is why you have this big red PNL. But I think I'm gonna use like a separate address, and have the exact 200K or like wherever we stand. Just because like I'm a bit more aggressive there. You can see on Hyperdash on this analytics page. I'm slightly I'm a bit more aggressive in the sense that at times I don't respect like the 3x delta. Um, I okay, that doesn't load. All right, well, but basically my weekly P&L on this address is probably like, I mean, we can check now. On this address is all right. Please load. Yeah, the 30-day P&L is like that roughly matches, but I think the 7-day, for example, we haven't had meaningful progress on this challenge in some time, and there we have quite some progress. Anyway, um, we the current positioning is we are long BTC against hype at a 2x delta. And on my personal book, um, I'm long Tau, short Zcash, and long hype. Sorry, long BTC. That's pretty much the current specs. And we did, yesterday we did mention we flip flop on BTC positioning, not exactly knowing if we should close, and go short, go long. And my assumption was that it was range highs. If we were to, if you just accept at range highs, then you have to change your bias and just think that okay, the market just doesn't want to give you the exit. I think the current mood is everyone's just waiting for 80K to TP their long exposure, and you have the ex dividend date of STRC in about 4 days, which gives you good flows into BTC. So the current framework is, I know I will TP very early. So I don't use TA much. You'll never see me, believe 100% TA, but it helps me in figuring out the important levels that we should look at. And I don't do technical analysis on low time frame, but on the high time frame for BTC, it actually works quite well. The ranges, and like we see here this ascending channel, and it's just just two lines. But for me, the current thing I want to see is the price just like get closer to here, and to me 75 is going to be sufficient, and then you just have to reassess. And this channel is going to be a way for me to manage the risk. um, so for example, let's say I cut at 75, but then the market just wants to go to much higher, uh, then I would then take along and take this parallel line in as risk management, more on a swing type trade. Um, it's the only technical analysis thing I do, to be honest, is to try and manage the risk or invalidate, like force invalidate some setups. I think the we it's a tricky thing because we all know it's a bear market, and it's not like things will resolve up in an instant. Um, and bear markets just take a lot of time to form. If we take And here we're taking the assumption that it's indeed a bear market. I think it is. Like, if you look at all metrics, retail interest, VC interest, even the events just postponing. There's just so many reasons to believe that. You see, I just draw the same thing here, but if we look a bit more on a higher time frame, these are bottoms. These are bottom zones on bear markets, and I generally think we are in one that's just somewhere here where the price is gonna go there, and then chop for a bit before finding the direction higher. That's how bottoms form, and when when everyone's super bullish or like turning bullish on ads specifically, you just have to. And that's why my base positioning is short. Is like my book is by default net short, and then I just hedge, which means I'm not gonna make like I make just little money on the way up, but the money I make is gonna be on the long leg, which will allow me to hold the short for longer. That's just my mental framework, just like it is in a bull run. I'm default long, and then I just hedge short um, very often. But like whenever you have some spike in funding rates, I would always hedge the long exposure, and that's just the same opposite way. That's my mental framework. On the current mindset is okay. We have BTC that's grinding higher here. Um, you have some warning signs, I would say, like this open interest. I don't feel like a lot of people are shorting this. It just doesn't look like this. And to me, it's pretty likely that we're front running STRC flows. Like everyone knows, STRC is a big buyer. For example, yesterday the estimate was 3K BTC, which is 250 million in flows, which is massive. And I feel like a lot of people are front running the ex dividend date. So to me, even if you have like if you give me 75 or just there, basically, I'll have to TP. Like it's gonna be a bit before this. What you're missing is what, a 2% move or so. You're missing a 2% move, but the issue I have with this is you can tell like everyone just front run this stuff, front run STRC, like they're buying because they expect STRC to buy more, and then we know that after Monday, I'm not sure if it's Monday or Tuesday, but the flows are gonna stop, and maybe the whole strength that we saw was on the back of this STRC. And Bitcoin is a very small market. It's actually not very liquid. Like at the moment, liquidity on exchanges is very thin, and so it makes sense to when you have like someone that buys 200 million every day, that this keeps the price up. Plus, you have the people that chase it. So some warning signs I see, and why I want to TP is you have some altcoins that are like you can see people are ramping up their OI. Like they're just chasing. It's like obviously the price moves are not great. Like we're not talking about big price moves, but you can tell from the composite of the OI that some folks are chasing already, and you have some ads that are performing quite well. Um, like lit, we actually discussed about this lit over hype position, which I think since then I really did pretty well. We can actually check on our pair trade dashboard. If you take leads, and then if you short hype against it, I think the chart is going to be looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean it's not so good, but for a bear market we'll take it. But I do see warning signs, so I wanna be clear that you want to TP quite early. And in the bear market, there's no such a thing as being too greedy on the long side, for sure. One, my best advice is in trading overall is, and that's why I'm doing well, is I trading is not my main thing. I don't like trading so much actually. As in, trading to me doesn't bring much joy or anything. It's just like you're making money and that's it. I prefer working on proper and build products, code stuff. That to me is really exciting. And that is, and I also have this complete detachment over money. Some like if I'm down 10K on a trade or like up, or even like, if I'm up like 300K on a trade or down a million on a trade, that really won't affect me so much. And the reason for it is because I have confidence in my abilities, but I know there is always a better trade out there. And whenever I'm on the market, and now I'm very tuned in, like for bear market, I'm really in sync with the market. I I know there is a big trade I want to take, and that's going to be to short ETH when I see the opportunity to do so. So ETH to me is one of those tokens where um, you don't have so many flows like you had in with Bitmine. You also don't have the products like STRC, like Stretch product has on ETH. And ETH went down to, it's one of the few tokens that did not go um, to lower levels as opposed to April of 2025. Sorry, Wi-Fi is a bit slow here. We'll take trading view. Okay, trading view also doesn't want to doesn't want to cooperate today. All right, please, guys. All right, cool. So that's basically what it says. We have this good level, which is this weekly, those EMAs. People refer to them as like when you have the EMA and the simple moving average. So EMA being the exponential moving average. That's your cloud right there, and that's usually the 200 is a bull market support. And when you flip that, you can assume much higher. That we saw, for example, there, that was a good indicator for the run up that we had on the back of that. And on the 2024 bull run, we've had this acting as support. And what I think is going to happen is, I mean, what's likely going to happen is you test this, and then you can target much lower for in the next like few weeks or a month. Um, the reason I like this trade is because of the invalidation. I always, I would always use some kind of invalidation, and I want that this invalidation is just very clear, so that trading is about optimizing for profits vs losses, and you want to know clearly how to um, like how do you make sure you can have more profit than loss. And here, that's typically a good to me. That would be a big trade. Um, I think I see little reason for ETH not to be stronger than BTC. One can discuss about the quantum, but I think we're too far from quantum for this to be any relevant, and that I think the market just got a bit more complacent on ETH. And I'm saying it's a big trade for me because that's where I would put quite a lot of size, and like the trade would look like this on like big high time frame. Like it's something I would hold for multi-week, multi-month type thing, and I would put like very large positions. And eventually, I think this is likely gonna play out if we look back at this. And I just like this invitation so well. And the reason why I'm like, for example, I'm happy to TP this BTC position earlier than expected if this were to come to 75, is because I know there is a big trade I want to take next. And on I know myself, like on a quarter horizon, there is always going to be a trade I'm going to be excited about, which makes the current environment then just not then I'm not really excited. So I can be patient about the setups. um, so yeah, that's going to be it for today. I'm not going to discuss about the Tau and Zcash. I think we're not booking this on the challenge. Again, if you're not on the Telegram, I invite you to join the Telegram. It's in the description. Some free stuff, but I'm doing this so that you have real-time updates on the positioning. So if I cut the BTC trade, that's where you see it. If I go, short the ETH discussed about here, that's also where you would see it. All right. So wish you all a great Saturday.